welcome another war to keep this country together. The North in particular has more than enough challenges, and we recognize that violent secession by any part of Nigeria will compound the problems of all Nigerians under which we live. The forum has arrived at the difficult conclusion that if support for secession among the Igbo is as widespread as it is being made to look, and Igbo leadership appears to be in support of it, then the country should be advised not to stand in its way. We support calls for Northerners who are exposed to harassment and violence to consider relocating to the North. Unlike the postures and complacency of the leaders of the Southeast, we advise that all Igbo and other ethnic groups from the South residing in the North should be accorded the usual hospitality and security. It will not be in the interest, it will not be the best choice for the Igbo or Nigerians to leave a country we have all toiled to build and a country we all have responsibility to fix. But it will not help a country already burdened with failures on its knees to fight another war to keep the Igbo in Nigeria.
For simply protesting, well, and you are saying let us give them power to regulate social media. I would never be part of that.
There was something you said earlier when you referred to the Eastern Security Network. I hope you are not justifying violence by any group inside Nigeria, because one of the bases for the objection of the federal government to Twitter is that Twitter has become a platform inside Nigeria for a particular separatist movement within the country. And then you were, waxing lyrical about the Eastern Security Network, the ESN, the militant wing of the IPOB. If you could just clarify your position on that before we move on.
I totally oppose. I totally deprecate and condemn unreservedly the killing of policemen, the burning of police stations, the carnage that is going on in the East. I am not sympathetic to IPOB. I don't believe in IPOB. I don't subscribe to IPOB. I am not a follower of Nnamdi Kanu. I have never been. I have always been critical of what he's fighting for. I do not believe in Biafra. I also do not believe in splitting Nigeria, even though I totally oppose the fraudulent one Nigeria they are talking about, because the united Nigeria that I want must be based on justice, must be based on rule of law. But I do not believe that we should divide the country. At the same time, we cannot criminalize what ordinarily should be an exercise of the right to self-determination. Eastern Security Network, whatever they are doing, I do not endorse it. I totally condemn it. But the point I am making, Dr. Bati, is that we should not be addressing these matters on the surface. Let us go to the roots. What led to the Eastern Security Network? Did Nnamdi Kanu just start with this group? They started by marching, carrying flag, going on the street, protesting. What was the response of the Nigerian state? What was the response of the Buhari regime? They deployed Operation Python dance. The Python was dancing on the lives of the people of the Saudis. People were being killed. People were being slaughtered. They were being attacked. They were not even allowed to protest, even when they charged him for treasonable felony, even when they had filed charges before Justice Nyako at the Federal High Court in Abuja. The military, in a so-called democracy, invaded the house of Nnamdi Kanu, desecrated the palace of his father, who was the traditional ruler. You cannot have that in a decent country. So as we condemn the killing of policemen, the burning of police, the burn of stations and INEC offices, we must admit that this regime, this government, takes responsibility for the resort to violence by the group known as Eastern Security Network. If we are not truthful about these things, Dr. Bassi, we will continue to see history repeat itself. Boko Haram started when Mohammed Yusuf was extrajudicially killed. Have we learned any lesson as a country? The answer is no. We are still resorting to primitive draconian ways of responding to civic agitation. When people are protesting, you engage them, you talk to them. That is why you say you are running a democracy. You don't kill them. You don't deny them of the right to protest. But we keep saying IPOP, and what the president said, he will speak to them in the language that they understand. These people have not recovered. The people of Eastern Nigeria, the Igbos in particular, they are still going through the agony of the civil war. And you are saying you treat them in the language they understand? What is the language of the civil war?
But there's an argument, and I'd like your comments on that argument, that the president's remarks were taken out of context. Those he was referring to were the armed groups who have forgotten the pains of the Southeast during the Civil War. The armed groups who are going around torching Nigerian infrastructure belongs to us, INEC infrastructure, for our democracy. That comment was made to a specific cadre of criminals. So those who leapt to their defense were wrong-footed, including Twitter, who did not take time to appreciate the broader context of that remark before deleting the tweet. Now, should Twitter have approached the Nigerian government, because this is a sovereign state, before deleting that tweet? I want your take on that. And also the general global move towards social media regulation. The US government, the US House of Representatives actually has 4 bills right now in the offing to restrain social media giants about utilizing user data, buying other platforms. I grant you, none of them is trying to restrain or censor the actual posts that individuals make. But there is a general sense that social media giants are too big for their britches. Your comments?
Do you know that as I speak today, Nigeria does not have a data protection law? Embarrassingly enough. Because you are citing the example, and that is why I'm saying when we make these comparisons, we must look at the peculiarity of these countries. There is no single one data protection law in Nigeria today. Not even one. Not even one that protects the data of Nigerians. We don't have. We do not have. Now, you make, the point that the president's comment was taken out of context. The only person or persons who took the president's comment out of context is the president and Lai Mohammed. Nigerians understood what he said. I personally understood what he said. The context in which he said it was clear. He didn't just stop at that. He didn't say he was referring to the armed groups. No. When you look at it objectively, when you look at it in context, because he said that they have businesses all over the country. Is it IPOP that has businesses all over the country? Does IPOP have business in Kanu, in Sokoto, in Zamfara, in Benue, in Kwara, in Ogun, in Cross River? They don't. Does the Eastern Security Network have businesses all over the country? The answer is no. Buhari was referring to the Igbos. We can admit it. We can pretend about it. His body language has been clear. He started by saying you cannot treat 93 and 5% equally. We have seen how he has marginalized the Igbos. No Igbo is represented in the National Security Council. Look at the nepotism. So when we are saying his comment was taken out of context, are we also saying that his nepotistic appointments, his clearly sectional appointments are also taken out of context? Because this is a president that has a pedigree. A shameful pedigree, an unfortunate pedigree of favoring a section of the country that has polarized this country as never before. So that is not a president that you will tell me spoke at that people are taking him out of context. He was clear on what he meant. In any event, we have had the so-called herdsmen or the so-called armed Fulani herdsmen committing killing people across the country from the north to the south. Has he spoken to them? Because in your interview with him, he made reference to what Governor Tom said, that the Governor Tom said is Fulani and that he cannot deny it. Not all Fulanis are criminals. But as Buhari spoken to his kinsmen, the ones that are criminals, the ones that are armed, in the language that they understand, the answer is no. We want language as they've been speaking to them. Language of encouragement, language of endorsement, ruga, settlement, grazing roads, and so on and so forth. Despite that governors have rejected these divisive policies, Buhari is still trying to force it on the throat of Nigerians. He has not addressed the killings by the herdsmen. Has he spoken to bandits in the language that they understand for the last 6 years? The answer is no. Rather, Gumi is advocating amnesty. School students are being kidnapped. Just yesterday, people were praying in Zaria against kidnapping. Buhari has not spoken to kidnappers in the northeast, the northwest, in the language that they understand. He has also not spoken to Boko Haram and ISWAP in the language that they understand. But suddenly, he now knows the language that IPOP will understand. I do not think that is how to run a country whose unity you are willing to kill for. I do not think how to run a country that is...
Let's move on from this Twitter and this
one of the most brutal and vicious civil wars that much of the world has never heard of. Anyone who lived through Nigeria's Biafra war in the 1960s will forever be haunted by the atrocities, the memories of bodies in the streets, and the fear of not being able to survive another day. After the eastern part of Nigeria declared independence in 1967, the bloody battle that ensued left more than 1 million people dead from starvation, disease, or the endless explosions. The 2.5-year war was literally hell on earth. As many of you who watch this show regularly know, I am Nigerian and I am from the part of the country where this war took place. Family members who lived through it tell me they never knew if they were going to eat, let alone what. It was common for people to feed off of grasshoppers, snakes, and termites. My mother's younger brother died during the Biafra War, and that was considered a very, very lucky outcome. If you only lost one family member, you thanked your lucky stars. So given all of that history and all of that pain, why are there now growing calls for a new secessionist movement in the exact same part of the country? We are joined live now by Amaka Anku, an expert on Nigeria and Sub-Saharan Africa. She's also the head of Eurasia's Group's Africa practice. Amaka, thank you so much for being with us. So you and I are both Nigerian. It's been over 50 years since this brutal civil war. Why is there this additional secessionist movement in the same part of this country bubbling up?
Look, Zain, the fundamental problem here is that Nigerians don't trust Nigeria, right? Like you said, and there are many reasons for that, right? All the years of military rule, Nigeria has underinvested in Nigerians and in basic services like healthcare, education, infrastructure, and there is then the broader issue of justice, right? We saw the protests last year. Police officers kill people and nothing ever happens to them. So, all of this is taking place in that against this history of the civil war that you just explained, where a lot of people in the Southeast in particular feel like there's never been an official recognition of the suffering of the region, right? We don't have a day every year where the country remembers what happened and these lives that were lost. That was disproportionately in the region, right? We don't even teach the history in the schools.
So let me ask you this, because I think it's important for our audience to note that it's not just the eastern part of Nigeria that wants to break away and have its own country. You have the western part of the country, the Yoruba people that also want to have their own country. Obviously, Boko Haram in the northeastern part of the country, they want to create an Islamic state. It sort of feels as though there are so many different groups in this great nation who have lost faith in this country. So just in terms of the president's strategy here, if there are people who feel marginalized, has the president made any effort to really show these various parts of Nigeria that he understands their concerns and that their voices are being heard?
I would say the government is not doing enough. And look, people have lost faith in Nigeria in part because there's nobody in Nigeria articulating a positive vision for Nigeria's future, right? Nigeria has a crisis of ideas. Nigeria appears not to have any ambition. And look, that is often, in most countries, that's often a role that is played by government. A role that, that to provide a holistic idea about what the country is about and where it's going, to bring people together and drive buy-in. The government is not doing that. But I have to say, Zain, that that's also a role in most parts of the country that is also played by people outside the government. There's a role as well for thought leaders in the country, for private sector participants to have a constructive vision of where Nigeria should be going, right? And push the government. And that's, there's a symbiotic relationship that can happen here between people inside government and outside government in articulating a positive vision for Nigeria.
I just want to sort of get at how all of this ends, because obviously President Buhari is not going to wake up and say, okay, you get your own country, you get your own country, or you can have autonomy and you can't. He's not going to do that. So how does all of this end?
I don't think it ends until Nigeria starts to really and truly invest in Nigerians. Until the Nigerian government, and it's, whether it's Buhari or the person who comes after him, respects Nigerians enough to communicate consistently and clearly where the country is going, what their vision is, right? And then to start to invest in education, in healthcare, in infrastructure, and all of the things that make a society function and make an economy competitive, right? Until that happens, you will continue to see these kinds of calls for secession.
And so, just in terms of what the secessionists want themselves, and obviously, yes, we know they want to break apart and form their own country, but is there anything else that they're willing to accept in the medium term, or is it for IBOP and these other groups, is it really secessionist or nothing?
I do think that for the leaders of some of these secessionist movements, like Nnamdi Kanu, I do think it's secession or nothing. Maybe the leaders of ODC in the Southwest. I think that what their views are probably less relevant than the views of the minority, the populations that are sympathetic to those views. I think for most of those people, most of the people in the Southeast, some of whom are sympathetic to those views, I don't think it's secession or nothing. I do think that a clear and consistent outreach, communication, and investment can help to change some of those views.
I mean, it's such a shame because Nigeria is such a beautiful country. It has so much potential, and just seeing all of these different areas wanting to separate, saying that they've had enough of being part of this great nation is very, very sad indeed. Amaka Anko, thank you so much for being with us.
It's M. Josh on the beat.
It's time to break loose from the chains. It's time for our freedom. Africa. Cause we can never let them negotiate our freedom, no. Hundreds of years is gone. No Messiah came for the black man. Told us that Jesus died for the black man still they suffer. The truth be said, Africa will rise at the right time. And the time we're waiting for is right now. No one can hold the truth for a long time. Oh no. So stay awake. The sun is risen from the east, and the Messiah you're waiting is right here. And no one is gonna try to stop that. I can hear a great call for justice. Freedom. Let the sun rise. Freedom for Biafra. Freedom. Free Nnamdi Kanu. Oh, song of salvation. Freedom. Let Africa rise. Freedom for Biafra. Freedom. Free Nnamdi Kanu. for self-determination is celebrated. Black man seeking for self-determination is a separatist and a terrorist. Yeah. When they jail a black freedom fighter, they jail in African freedom. Don't I have rights to my self-determination? Is that a crime? Oh no. Don't I have rights to live? Don't I have rights to express myself? Don't I have rights to speak? Can't I complain if I'm marginalized? There's genocide in the land that nobody even cared about. Even when I try to speak, my voice is muted every time. Like a slave in my land, I can't take it anymore. I hope the world is listening to my plight. I can hear a great call for justice. Freedom, let the sun rise. Freedom for Biafra. Freedom, free Nnamdi Kanu. Oh, the song of salvation. Freedom, let Africa rise. Freedom for Biafra. Freedom, free Nnamdi Kanu. Free Nnamdi Kanu. Freedom for Biafra. Oh, 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 oh. Free Nnamdi Kanu. Freedom Africa.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, great Biafrans and lovers of freedom. This is Radio Biafra HAUSA-SERVICE coming to you via the auspices of Radio Biafra London. My name remains Mazi Jonathan Chinedu from Olu province of Biafra land. Today is the 9th day of July in the year of our Lord 2021, being Friday. We are live and direct, and without wasting time, we are going to go to the special broadcast by the head of the Directorate of States, Mazi Chika Edoziem, who will continue immediately. Mazi, welcome to the program. Are you there? The platform is yours.
Thank you so much, Mazi Jonathan. I'm here. Am I coming out clear, please?
You are crystal clear. Please go on. Good
evening, good afternoon, and good morning, good night to you, great Biafrans, depending on your time zone. My name is Mazi Edoziem. I come from Ihoma. Ihoma is in all the province of Biafra land. And by the grace of Elohim, I serve the indigenous people of Biafra in the Directorate of State as the head of directorate. This is an update as the Directorate of State promised to give to Biafrans worldwide on the extraordinary rendition of our leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, by the Nigerian government in collaboration with the Kenyan government. Biafrans, I bring to you greetings from the supreme leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. So far, our legal team have been able to visit him on a couple of occasions. And he has sent his regard to the Biafran family worldwide. Now, the Directorate of State is coordinating a three-way pronged engagement in respect of this extraordinary rendition of our leader. We are coordinating this three-pronged engagement in order to ensure that nothing untoward happens to our leader in the custody of the Nigerian secret police. We have the legal team who are pursuing the legal aspect of this very matter before us. And we have also the diplomatic aspect of this very matter as well. And the third leg of it is the civil disobedience by Biafran families worldwide, which of course has commenced in different countries around the world. Today, Friday, I think a family in Germany have made the German people to know and to be aware of the evil and illegality and criminality that the Nigerian government, in conjunction with the Kenyan authorities, perpetrated and are still perpetrating on Onyendu, our leader, because he is still in their custody. Apart from this three-way action plan, the DOS wish to assure Biafrans that it does not matter how long, but the Kenyan and the Nigerian government will be fully held accountable for this brazen crime which they committed against international law and for the violation of Onyendu's liberty and his right to freedom of movement. We therefore enjoin everyone, every Biafran family all over the world to remain calm. Of course, the situation does not even call for calmness, but we want every Biafran family to remain calm. Principal officers, remain in your positions of service and wait for further instructions. We are happy that at least the lawyers were able to visit our leader for 2 occasions now, and we believe that this will continue going forward. On the 26th of this month, July the 26th, is the day the accord has fixed for the continuation of the allegations which they leveled against Onyendu, our leader. And I wish to inform that our team of legal professionals will be deliberating on this very court date, and by next week, the Directorate will be providing more updates regarding this very court date. The IPOB worldwide, we shall unequivocally show solidarity, both physically and spiritually, to our leader on the date of this very court matter or court case. Maybe people may be wondering, they may not have been hearing from members of the Directorate as often as they wish regarding this very situation we are in. I wish to inform that other members of the Directorate will also be coming on air to talk on pertinent issues beginning from tomorrow and going forward. And of course, myself, we will be giving constant updates as time progresses. We do not wish to come on air and give informations that are not very correct to the Biafran people. As we have learned from Onyendu, we cannot tell this great family anything but the truth. Therefore, when it seems that we are not coming as often as people may wish us to be on air, it is for the simple reason that we want to ensure we have our facts correct and ready to be given to the world and to the Biafran families worldwide. I wish to also remind our people that the Psalms, as directed by Onyendu, continues. We continue to read the Psalms until we, of course, finished the whole Psalms from Psalm 1 to 150. So please, people must continue to read the Psalms as Onyendu directed. Now to IPOB principal servants. We are on a very, very precarious moment. And I want to use this opportunity to remind every principal officer, every Biafran that is serving the Biafran people in whatever capacity under this very noble family called the indigenous people of Biafra, led, of course, by Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. I wish to remind all of you that the code of conduct of the indigenous people of Biafra is our working document. Apart from the oath of office that principal officers and members will take, every principal officer must have in his or her possession the IPOB code of conduct. And when you have that, I enjoin you to please go through the provisions as many times as possible, so that you may fully comprehend them and be able to put them in practice as you carry out your duties. Our people in Biafra land must be very wary of anything that the Nigerian government will provide or wish to provide for them, be it in form of medical outreach by their armed forces or in form of food palliatives, because an entity that hates you, an entity that wish you dead, cannot bring forth anything good for you. First of all, they militarized our land and extorted our people of billions of dollars on our roads. Then they sent armed Fulani herdsmen to pillage, rape, and murder our people. Not done with that, they brought in again their army to humiliate and murder our youths in order to create a vacuum and provide the enabling condition for the terror groups which the Fulani Caliphate created themselves to overrun and occupy our ancestral land. And Biafrans, I ask you, is it then possible that such an entity is known? We have heard that the army is going about in some areas in Biafra land with medical outreach. My advice to our people in Biafra land is that they must be very, very cautious, and they must not allow their children to be vaccinated by the enemy for any reason, because all their plans has always been to find a means to exterminate our race and fulfill their age-long ambition of dipping the Quran in the sea, the Atlantic Sea of Biafra land. But Chukwu Abiyama will not allow that to happen. Those of us who are going to be marching in different countries of the world, please do ensure a copy of it and deliver those letters properly and appropriately to those that it is meant to be delivered to. If, however, that you are not allowed to protest in the country, that does not stop the letter from being delivered to those it is meant for. Therefore, then, that letter must be delivered through other means, either by post, courier, or delivered by hand at those offices. I will not be taking too much time this very moment, but all I can assure Biafrans is that we, the leadership of this very struggle, the legal team, the families of our leader, well-wishers and supporters of the Biafran struggle, we are doing what needs to be done. Everything that has to be done to ensure not only that the health of our leader is not in jeopardy, but also to ensure that he rejoins us soonest. And of course, we shall continue on the journey that is set before us. We shall continue on our struggle for a decent and honorable life in a free and independent Biafran nation. Therefore, all of us must continue to operate as one family, whether you are a principal servant or you are not a principal servant. At this moment, we cannot afford any form of distraction. Do not, I do repeat, do not allow yourself to become a tool in the hand of the enemy. It is not only that you will suffer it in your life, but your generations will, of course, suffer that as well, and terribly, if I may add. May Chukwu Okike Abiama, the creator of the heavens and the earth, the seen and unseen, may he continue to envelop our leader Mazi Nnamdi Kanu under his protective wings. May he continue to imbue him with his spirit, with the strength that is beyond human comprehension. May he continue to guide him, and may he, of course, grant him victory over our enemies and grant us Biafra, a Biafra which we shall all enter into with our leader Mazi Nnamdi Kanu at the helm of that march to freedom. And all of you, may Chukwu Abema continue to strengthen you. May Chukwu Abema continue to guide you. May Chukwu Abema continue to guide this very wonderful family of IPOB in all that we do, as he guided us up to this very moment. He shall be by our side till victory is finally achieved, and unto him we shall give all honor and all glory. Biafra, for me and for most of us, is our religion. And Chukwu Okike Abiama is the only being that we worship and worthy of worship. And therefore, from me, from here, I want to say to you, great Biafrans, good evening and good night. Thank you to you, Mazi Jonathan, and good evening from here.
for godly befam oto si gotia ona isiong oto ese mem di befa adoro na na mebu mebu na pasherika doboda ona ekwu na ekwu zi man kasiri akwu man kasiri na ekwu na now eventually wee nọ na ndị gọọmenti Nigeria jejide the man wee bulie wee kụọ ịga wee tụnye na nga. Ndị Hausa, ndị niile biri ugwu, ndị Fulani, even gọvanọ fa, ndị gọvanọ fa wee na-enwe aṅụrị na-akpọ pati ala akụba na Chineke asafe ebere na onye ilufa na-ejide ha niile na-enwe aṅụrị. Then gị nwa nọ n'ala Igbo na-enwekwa aṅụrị at the same time. Gị na ndị ilo na-enwe aṅụrị, gị nwa na-enwe aṅụrị. Inwe mental problem, inwe very big problem. Otu a ka esi ewe ha ntị mara ihe nwa na-eme ebe a. O si na bụ nọ na election ka a na-eme. Ofe na-achị ofu obodo, nnukwute obodo nwanụ nọ n'ụwa, one of the major most powerful countries enwere in the world. Eweme election na befa, the man lose election. Ozugbo lose election, ndị terrorists niile, ndị Hamas, ndị ISIS, ndị Al-Qaeda, ndị Boko Haram na-enwe aṅụrị na-agbapụta na-agbọ mmanya na-aṅụrị na demand adịghị election. Gị nwa nọrọkwa n'ebe ị nọ na-enwekwa aṅụrịkwa na demand dakwara election. Inwe problem. Gịnị ifere ka ndị ilo na-aṅụrị because of an event, gị nwa sorokwa na-aṅụrịkwa because of that same event you have a problem. Kyo idi. Otu a ka esi enene ha ati mmadụ, otu a ka esi enene. Look at David ebe a. Ife niile na-agbakasị arụ bụ na ndị ilo ga-enwe aṅụrị because of ife dakwasịrị ụmụ Israel. Ịchọọ ka ịma ebe ikwu n'obi gị, ọ bụ na ndị ilo ife mekịta ndị niile kpọrọ Jizọs asị, ndị niile heti like na election a na-ekwu kịta ka emenya bụ election the man daa ịbịa n'Israel dịka ebe a na-eruju ụmụ ndị Israel, covenant children of God, ha na-ebe akwa na-eti n'ofu onye ha kpopụrụ aka enyelefe aka wee nụnwe ọgụ ndị na-achị ikpochapụfa na-ewepụ onye a. Ndị Israel na-eruju, ndị bụ ụmụ Chineke na-eruju, gị nwa na-enwe aṅụrị. Something is wrong with you. Something is wrong with you. Mana ime ama, mana ihe a na-ekwukịta nwee ike like ndị na-ege ege na-esoela anyị online, ọ na-agbakasịghị arụ, mana ihe a bụ the truth of otu esi ama ebe onye kwuru ife na-eme n'obi onye anwa. Ị ga-amalili aka ọ bụ ife mwute, bụrụ ife mgbawa obi na ịbịa na all the tribes enwe na Nigeria, n'ụwa niile, obodo niile nke ụwa, even from Bible, the only tribe amara how to protect their own bụ ndị Igbo. Sọsọ ndị Igbo, sọsọ the elites nọ n'ala Igbo bụ ndị amara how to fight and protect their own. Mmafe egosi gị na Bible now. Metụkwa m ya aka one time anyị na-eme morning prayer ebe a, mana m na-emetụkwa ya aka kịta because achọrọ m ikwu okwu on this. Maka na ihe ahụ nwa David na-asị si akụkọ anya n'ebe ndị ilo nọ, si ekwere ka ndị ilo ya nafa ihe nwebe ahụ nafa ga-ebido tebe egwu ọṅụ because na ife otiti dakwasị ha nwa n'obodo Israel. Ndị Igbo most of our elites aghọtara ya. Ọya akpata ịbịa watch ya over the weekend. Ụmụ okolobịa ndị ntorobịa nọ na Yoruba bịa na-asị na ha ga-enwe Yoruba nation, ha ga-eme Yoruba nation, na-ekwusi eke ndị polisi wụọ n'ọfa sịba ụnụ anwakwa na anwa pụta, ụnụ anwakwa na anwa, ụnụ atraịkwa na atraị, a na-abapụ na apụtakwana fasị na ọsọ kwuo eluigwe metụ anyị na ha na-enwe Yoruba nation. Ha na-eti mkpu ọmara ruo ụbọchị anwa, to everybody's greatest surprise, ha nupụta gbam jee ebe anwa ha gwu ha ga n'owe mie gbadị na-eme na ha chọrọ Yoruba nation ike Nigeria gwuo ha na-eme ha na watch ya vidio ya, watch ya otu esi wee gosi ha nwa niile. Ife ndị Nigerian polisi na amị medebe bụ ịpụta na-agba ha mmiri, biko gbasasị anụ. Ọsụsọ ofu nwatakịrị ka asị dị 14 years ka asị na anụ ọnwụ ya, a na-asị na stray bullet tụrụ ya, but they did not come out to kill those people. Try ihe ahụ ha mere, try ya na Igbo, try ya na Igbo. Just ụmụ okorobịa Igbo pụta n'okwube na anyị chọrọ Igbo nation, na-ekwuru na ụnụ ya eme rally ụbọchị dị otu a, ụbọchị ahụ na-enulu pụta. I am telling you, a ga-agba ụnụ pieces gbam, ozu mmadụ amadị less than 100 ga-atọgba ebe a. Gịnị bụ the difference? Difference bụ na ndị Yoruba mala na their elites, ndị bụ ndị ọlụlụ n'okwu, ga-akwụ ụmụ ha n'azụ and ha ga-anọ ọgụ ife emekwa na ndị a mafa na emetịa mafa dị emetịa. They will fight and protect their own. Kedu ife bata na Fulani herdsmen na-awaghalị n'ọfịa na-aga n'obodo na-aslọta ndị mmadụ, na-alụ, na-egbuwasị ndị mmadụ isi. Gịnị kpatara na wee luo tata na aka akpọrọ n'afa terrorist organization? Why? Because na ndị befa Ndi befa ma how to protect their in a passage our misguided brothers that we need to, call them to order, no our misguided, misdirected brothers. So he said, if I come a federal government, if I get a wobuna, say Cholofa cattle root, Uzo, if I get Siaga, open a family, Ecosia, rice, Ecosia, Hataya, anyway, and a secondary compensation. Even in the government in the Mebu is to defend them. Government has never, federal government has never come out to condemn the Fulani herdsmen. Why? Because Nnamdi Befani Ufanazu. Then Boko Haram, get it go away before we declare Boko Haram terrorist organization. Ha make it the law, make it the book, take it over local government. Maybe before I went there, even when I protect it today, they still protect their own. Oh yeah, but Nejide the Boko Haram, Nejide Elebefa na Ufu facility. Then warfare, nenefa bread and tea. Bido skuzibel fa akwụkwọ 6 months ga ekpopụtafa yinyefa uniform say ha foto wepụtara anya anyị na-ekilifa ebe ha si uniform ndị Boko Haram ejide ndị a na-egbu mmadụ na-egbutọsị mmadụ asị na edi-radicalize gofa then ekpolu ụfọdụ imefa send afọ obodo oyibo ka fajeje gụọ akwụkwọ ewezo ndị ọzọ kpefa na Nigerian army si ha jee na army ka ha jere n'ụbazọ ha adịgo mma ha abụrọzi na ha echegharịgo otu a ka esi handle fa the same Nigerian government jide ndị IPOB eze ndị IPOB anwụ hazam anwụ ha na sel ndị agbagburu agbagbu ndị nri afọ ebe ya etebe apịtị atụghị ha n'ime apịtị ha na-atụrụkọ n'ime apịtị you dehumanize them, you mess them up, you do all manner of things to them, and then reason bụrụ na ndị elites ndị Igbo a na-akụrụ ndị federal gọọmenti agasa na ụnụ na try ụnụ anwa aka. Because the Igbo man does not know how to protect his own. He has what values for Nkefa. Ndị ọzọ niile ana can go see in the Bible. Can go see something in the Bible. Ana ekwubugo ihe anụ mgbe anyị na-ele foundation for the kings of Israel. For the benefit of our viewers, ndị adị eso eberela anyị n'oge. Can go see an event na obodo Israel. O nwere one man bụ onye a Levite, only Levi. In fact, this story in Judges chapter 9 to 21. I'm gonna summarize there. Now, this man no why, man no concubine ka Bible polia. But I wunye awa anya dere ya ma na agba n'ilo na-eso ụmụ nwoke. So je kwa iko die chọpụta. So die chọna ya bennia. O mesa die like ya. So die after some days die we je ko je kponatia. So die kponatia ka na die izi we na anachi ya back. Ka ha na-aga Chijibido found ụzọ ebe fa chọrọ ịlalụ na market square ha na ebe anwa one man jelu ugbo na n'abalị wee fa wesara ebe ụlọ dị very dangerous ndị be anyị abụrọkwa ezigbo mmadụ bịanụ ka anyị jee na be m. So the man kpọlfa fa wee jee na be the man ruo na be the man ha bata the man nye ha n'ịmago nye camel fa nri and so on. O ruo n'abalị ụmụ okorobịa obodo anwa ndị Gibea ndị na Benjamin ụmụ okorobịa obodo a wakpo the man sị na ifụrụ nwoke na nwaanyị bata na be gị kpọpụta the man ka gosi gị na Judges chapter 19. Look at verse 20. Okay, verse 24. Verse 22, sorry. Verse 22. Now verse 22. Okay, if the man has said, now as they were making their hearts merry, behold, the men of the city, certain sons of Belial, beset the house round about, beat at the door, spoke to the master of the house, the old man, where said, bring forth the man that came into your house, that we may do what? That we may know him. Actually, Tinia, I be working man, I like working by actually where I go. Popular the man, I deny. This old man was the man, man. And when Mama exactly if a man and care lot na Sodom and Gomorrah. Can't you know when the wine could have had a natural wine? When I work and I work, I get in a little work, I get me a homotata. So, everybody may see how that is the argument. The man no way because him na wunyawa na akwata iko so na Sodom nwoke. So the man will package you wunye kwapolofia. Say I don't wunye mo no my hono chali je me na verse 25 and na Russia verse 25. So but the men will not hearken to him. So the man no way actually took his concubine na wunyawa. Say bob na like nwoke oya iko ngwa je ke kwa ka ha kwa gi iko ke kwa jo ika fotata. So or package you wunye kwapolo ha wunye. And they brought her forth unto them, and they knew her. However, this girl and they abused her all the night. This girl throughout the night. Yeah, we the woman. By the time that woman died. So the man verse 29. And when he was coming to the house, the man he took a knife, laid hold on his concubine, and divided her into 11 pieces, together with her bones into 12 pieces, and set her into all the coasts of Israel. Into 12. Oh, well, side that, Bugalundebo Ruben, well, side that, Bugalunde, Ndobro, Bugal, or Call of the Gibia, or Benjamin Meluni, and how the Munia Boya, or more, Bugalunde, the Judah, Bugalunde Zebulon, the Naphtali, and so on and so forth. So when this does only have a Simba, Nandi, the belly farm, Boalo Cafame, Nahame, in short, Israel, Ndoke Fanny in the way meeting where Cindy Benjamin, Ono Malu Maka Meleha, O Mazia Qualica, Sepoptafa, Naigebuha. I gave Buha and I deserve long. No, they have a question of a man over Israel. It might be funny thing. Ndi Benjamin, where Sefa foul. Oh, yeah, the Benaga. I said, no, where do one you get Metaka? If I'm a lot of Mamba, Manamado Metaka, they protected their own. They shielded their own. Now when you know myself and that one didn't have a source of Belial was the Benjamin Juna, we won't release them. Oh, Nabulon on Debo. So everyone on protects if this does always if one on up to Romaka and Yanu so no, maybe 11 tribes Gijikaka, where Benuso, so one tribe of Benjamin. The Benjamin Ralo, come I got pop to Romaka, Nuso Nayogo, Quadonaka, Ecuador. To our greatest surprise, however, Baog. Nimen of our Baog, Obu the watch ya na that battle. Verse 21, chapter 20. Can go see him. The first round of that battle, Bible says, and the children of Benjamin came forth out of Gibeah, and they destroyed it down to the ground of the Israelites that day. Madone. 22,000 men. Nigga want you. Ndi abu family alo. Hajuna fama mpoputa umu fa protect umu ha. Ano bazok 11 tribes were binu sofogo. Continue to Chineke magasi ni Fedi Benjamin made the right for protecting their own children. God fought for them. Family Israel ni won Israel 22,000. Now how do you reconcile that? Israel na chia sigini na emi ha. Simple. Israel went around 2. 9 verse 23. Verse 23 was, and the children of Israel went up and wept before the Lord until evening. Now, sorry, Ghana verse 25. 25 was, and Benjamin went forth against them out of Gibeah the second day, and they destroyed down to the ground of the children of Israel 18,000 men. All of them were people that were drawing the sword. Around 2. Benjamin Bukofa 18,000. If I call 18,000 plus 22,000 or the 40,000 Israel who's Patobolane. Why? Each one the Benjamin is if I say now I now to protect our misdirected brethren. Why? Amari Hane Meweje Kwai Kokwa Madaniko. No Hakai no fight. I fight for them. Oh, but they name how to fight for their own youths. Even now you to this so zealous make a mistake. You will first of all if people you no chago dog but as any mono. You were not going to well and then what they're in our support her. Oh godly haizia igagente. Mani put up publicly or fear garu to control them. That is exactly the situation I'm on here. And the including story gather you will discover wisdom of God about an neighbor Israel no how we decided kafa weta ajaka achu aja Gideon Benjamin came really bulletin how you believe bulletin because they they were fighting to protect their own. Even though yet God did not allow them to be defeated. Until Israel were just verse 26. They fasted, they wept, and then they offered burnt offerings and peace offerings. Then verse 26. Now verse 35. If you know Israel Benjamin or Israel verse 26, verse 35. We're saying, look at verse 35. Bible say, and the Lord now entered into the battle and smote Benjamin before Israel. So Chineke where will Akia where the million Benjamin, not Israel Chineke because of Aja. They brought God they by sacrifice they brought the presence of God into the equation. If not, Chineke in the Benjamin, because they were fighting to last, to protect their own children. Mgbe anyị ga-aba anyị nọrọ otu a ifu ụmụ anyị even though ha na-eme mistake mana ifuzi the elites ka fa bulie n'isi balụ na-abụ bụrụfa ga na-alata jet si bute aeroplane si bute jet si n'efanọ si wefa ọ na-agbalị obi because ọ dị against national law, ọ dị against otu Chineke si wee kọwa. I just pray na Chineke ga-enyere anyị aka, and I just pray na ndị ndu anyị na n'Igbo a na mmụọ amamihe ka abata ha n'isi, because many of them lose go the essence of their being, occupying the position ha na occupy. Oh yeah, but they can't even control the youth. They believe it was in them. They don't even look up to them. They see them as saboteurs and I fuck and the slaves to the Fulani. The sell on